I'm sure it's no surprise that I like to keep a travel journal whenever I go on holidays, and since I'm heading off to the United Kingdom in the second half of October, it was time to set up a new one. Let's have a look at my essential travel spreads that make sure I'm organised and making it to all of my flights on time and never leaving anything behind. Hi, my name's Erin, and I love starting new notebooks. This is the little notebook that will be accompanying me on this adventure. It's the Foliage A6 journal from Tifosi. It has 112 pages of 160 GSM dot grid paper, which is exactly what I like in my notebooks. It has a pocket in the back, which is fantastic for corralling any ephemera that you haven't had a chance to stick in yet. 2 ribbon bookmarks so you can always hold your place on any important pages, and look at those gold gilded page edges. I'm probably going to ruin those by sticking things in, but they're very pretty. Here's my A5 bullet journal for size comparison, so that's the A6 on top and the A5 underneath. This journal is little. Let's begin, shall we? I'm probably going to use this first page, the one that never quite sits comfortably and flat against the rest of the book, to put my contact information on, so if I lose this journal, I can hopefully get it back. And we're going to start actually using the journal from the first full page spread. This is going to be my cover spread, and this is absolutely not a necessary thing, but I really enjoy including cover spreads in all of my journals. I feel like they help me set the intention and get an idea of what I want this journal to look like. And cover spreads are really fun to set up too, so I just like doing them. That's also part of the reason. I'm using a little combination of stationery here. Most of the washi tapes are from Leela journals. I've got some stickers from JOURNALSAY, some stickers from Sticky, and some letter stickers that are completely amazing that I bought in store at Stash World, but I think may have been a one-off, very limited kind of actually maybe vintage sticker situation, so I'm sorry I can't link you to those, but I can link you to everything else that I'm using. And I have discount codes to a lot of the stores that I'm using items from in this video, so don't forget to scroll down and check out those codes too if you're planning to make a purchase. I might be able to save you some money. I'm using my beautiful letter stickers from Stash World as a drop capital. I'm gonna say they look very Art Deco to me. Usually when I do a sticker as a drop capital, I'll do the rest of the word in stamps, but I thought I would mix it up and do something a bit more romantic this time, so I'm using Archer and Olive calligraph pens to do my brush lettering, and I will still put the stamps in there a little bit too, but not like I normally would. When I'm setting up a travel journal, I like it to be very low pressure, so I don't want to decorate too much because I don't want to feel like I have all this pressure on me while I'm traveling to be making something really artistic and amazing. I'm much more worried about keeping track of my memories and having a souvenir to look back through. And that really starts from the very beginning. Even these pages that I set up before I leave, I'm really not trying to make them too perfect. I just want them to be kind of cute and to serve their purpose, and this one is definitely doing that. So the little furniture stickers are from a sheet from Sticky, the castle stickers are also from Sticky, and the wings and the keys are from JOURNALSAY. And those are the only adornments I'm going to use throughout. Look how cute it's looking already though. I really like how it's coming together. It kind of has a story of fairy tales and beautiful vintage things, and I feel like that's quite fitting for the United Kingdom. Let's move on to the first of my functional spreads. We're going to do a few pages actually for my itinerary. I really like to have this somewhere close to the beginning of the journal so that I can access all of my flight and hotel information at a glance, and honestly just writing it out by hand really helps me to remember it as well, so I don't have to refer back to this and check it as often. Yes, of course, I will also have my itinerary on my phone. I have it in my Google Calendar, I have it in a spreadsheet, but just having it in my journal feels right, and so I will continue to do it. Oh, I didn't mention this washi tape earlier. This blue tartan washi tape is actually from Stationery Pal. It might be a little on the nose to do tartan in a journal for a trip that I'm going to Scotland. Maybe that's a bit too obvious, but hey, at least it's not like a red tartan, right? That's even more obvious. And honestly, I just really like tartan patterns anyway, so I'm just gonna say that I'm doing it because I like it and not necessarily super because of Scotland, but hey, it's a happy medium. In order to make this work, as far as number of pages I needed for my itinerary, I decided to do essentially an itinerary cover page on the left side because these pages are quite small. And on the right side, and then on the next spread after this one as well, that's where I'm going to put my flight and accommodation information and anything else that I need to know that goes in an itinerary. But I'm not going to actually write all of that information because of internet safety and privacy, so I'm just going to put the dates and I'm going to fill that in off camera later on, but I will write, some of the date information in there so that you can get an idea of how this might look filled in. You'll have to use your imagination a little bit. Something that's quite tricky to balance in a tiny journal like this is including some decoration without going so overboard that you leave yourself no room to actually plan. Washi tapes I think are really useful to just kind of line a page edge like I'm doing quite a bit of here, but also if you're going to use stickers, actually this will sound quite counterintuitive because the ones I'm using are kind of large compared to the journal size, but I would recommend going for smaller stickers for a smaller journal. That might sound obvious, but sometimes you never know. The exception to that rule is obviously going to be cover pages, because you can take up a whole page with a large sticker in one of these and it's going to look really impactful. So what do I know? Choose your own adventure and use the things you like. I have deliberately made the spacing on those October dates a little bit wonky because I have different amounts of information that I'm going to need to write in those spaces, so please know I have factored that in. I didn't deliberately try to make it unbalanced to be uncomfortable to look at. It's the kind of thing that will look much more comfortable when all the information is filled in, and I will be much more comfortable sharing that with the internet when I have returned from this trip, so let me know if you'd like to see a flip through of my completed travel journal once I get home from my big adventure. With my 2 itinerary spreads all set up, let's turn the page and start on the next one. I struggled a bit with what to call this one because I didn't want to include any of the tours or special events that we've booked in the itinerary alongside flights and accommodation. I wanted to keep that stuff separate, so that's the purpose that this page is going to serve. Stuff we've booked that isn't hotels or flights, basically. But I was kind of limited by my letter stickers a little bit in what I could call it because I had this whole new sheet when I started out, which meant I could put the letter stickers for every single one of the names of the cities that we're going to be visiting, which is fantastic. That makes me very happy, but it doesn't leave me with very many letters left over, so I wanted to make sure I wasn't using something that I was going to want for a page that comes after this. I ended up just going with pre-booked experiences, and I gave it a capital E for its drop capital, and we're gonna call it a day at that. We don't have very many of these pre-booked either. Quite often when we travel, my partner and I will just book into day tours and things, basically once we're already in the country, so that we can get an idea of what the weather's going to be like over our stay and choose the day that's going to work the best. We haven't really had trouble with tours selling out because we usually travel in off-peak seasons, so this works really well for us. I've given myself a big heading in the middle of the page and done some cute little corner collages, but I've left heaps of room for writing down any information that we might need across this spread. And that's all I need for my pre-booked experiences spread, so we're going to turn the page and move on to an absolutely essential one that I think should be in every travel journal ever, and that is a packing list. But this is a cool little twist on a packing list. I actually did this in my last travel journal and I really liked the idea. If you're going on a multi-city trip like we are, then this packing list has space to tick off each of the items for every city that you are leaving, so that you can check your packing against it as you go and make sure you never leave anything behind. Last time I did this, I set it up as a grid. This time I wanted to have a little dot that I could put a cross or a tick in as I pack, and this has made me really want some of those dot markers because I've only got one and it's green, which wouldn't have worked with this theme, so I had to make my dots myself, and that took a little bit of time, but it wasn't too bad. And the space on the left is where you write all of the items that you're packing. You could make your list much more extensive than me. I'm honestly pretty good about not forgetting stuff, and I did include this in my previous travel journal and then found that I didn't really use it, but I'm also a bit less prepared for this trip than I was last time I traveled, so maybe it will be different. Maybe I'll need it this time, and I didn't want to take it away and then wish that I'd included it, so definitely better to set it up and not use it than to wish that you'd done it. Also in this case, I wanted to make sure I was leaving plenty of room for actually tracking things, so I thought I would do the functional parts first and then decorate after. And that funny word across the top, Blegil, is just the initial for each of the cities that I will be leaving, that I will need to be checking my packing list against as I'm leaving those cities. So Brisbane, London, Edinburgh, Glasgow, York, London again. Something I found really useful in my last travel journal was to have sort of a bucket list kind of things I'd love to do in this city list that I had pre-prepared before the trip in the journal, so that if we didn't have a plan for a day, I could consult the journal and say, why don't we check out this museum, or we should find this park. And we didn't get to do everything that was on my lists last time, but that kind of just gave us some headings for where to start for this next trip. And there are a couple of cities on this trip that we did not visit on our last visit to the UK, so that will be some new stuff too. So I wanted to make sure I was still giving myself this. I started out setting these ones up very minimally, and afterwards I actually came back and added some more stickers, although I didn't capture all of that on camera, so you might have noticed from the intro kind of slow-mo footage of these that some of them have stickers that you won't see me put down here. Sorry about that, I just decided after the video that I wanted more. And I sort of forgot about my castle sticker sheet for a while, so I wanted to make sure that I got a lot of good use out of that one, because this seems like the perfect time for it. Also, the smaller tip end on the Archer and Olive calligraph markers is fantastic for hand lettering. I really, really like them. I wish these didn't come just kind of in packs of predetermined colors. I wish you could kind of get them individually, because I have some that are from the previous subscription boxes from last year, and I can't link you to those exact pen colors because Archer and Olive don't sell them like that, so that's a shame. I have managed to replace my Tombow N89 grey brush pen, which is the one I'm using here though. I used the other one until it pretty much ran up, so it was great to have it back in my collection. Also, fun fact, if you are watching this video very close to when I've published it, I'm actually in Glasgow right now. Obviously, from the fact that this is shot on my normal desk with my normal stationery around me, I pre-filmed this one, so it's scheduled to go up while I'm in Glasgow, so that's very exciting. I haven't been to Glasgow before. I'm really excited to experience it, and we just have excellent timing. One of Chris's favourite bands is going to be playing a show in Glasgow while we're there, so we get to go and see some live music over there too, which I think will be incredible. The last time I visited Edinburgh, I completely fell in love, and I'm so excited to be back in that city. Do you have any travel plans coming up for the rest of the year, or maybe early next year, or even later next year? I'd love to hear about them if you do, and also, are you planning to keep a travel journal? I'd love to know that too. Let's have a little chat about travel journaling in the comments. All my little bucket list idea spreads for each city are set up now, which means we can move on to something that is really important for me as somebody who likes to track a lot of stuff, and that is kind of a placeholder page for my trackers in my regular journal, so that when we hit the 1st, because we will be overseas for the 1st of November and I am not taking my regular bullet journal with me, I can still make notes of my stats for things like my money tracking and my social media tracking, and when I get home I'll just transfer these into my regular bullet journal, or my money journal as the case may be, because I keep a dedicated journal for finances. So I track the total amount I have in my savings in the bank, what my investments are up to, and my superannuation, which is what retirement savings are called in Australia. As a self-employed person, I have to be pretty on top of that stuff because I have to pay it myself. I don't have an employer to do that for me. And on the opposite page, I have my socials, so my YouTube and Instagram, and also the accounts for my dance group because I also run social media for them. Again, for this one, I wanted to make sure all my functional stuff got on the page first before I got to any decorating, and I didn't really leave space for a header at the top of the page, so I thought, let's just whack it at the bottom. Now we can decorate around all of it and not have to be worried about covering up useful space. When I flipped back a page to cut off the excess washi, I decided that I thought my York spread was a little bit too bare, so I thought I'd go back in with a marker and just add some highlights on every second line like I'd done on some of the previous ones to give it a little bit more interest. I grabbed the wrong Tombow N89 though. This is my old one, and you can see how it's really faint now. I don't think this one's got much juice left. This is about the time I remembered my castle sticker sheet, so I started going back through the other spreads and adding some of those on. I did end up finishing the sheet, but not until after I'd shot the flip through for this video, so definitely let me know if you want to see a flip through of the completed journal and you can see all of that stuff. But for now, here is a flip through of the Ready to Take on Holidays with Me journal. This is definitely the business end of the journal. This is where all the kind of drier, important information stuff goes, but the rest of the journal following these pages is where I'm just going to record my thoughts and feelings and experiences. I'm going to put photos, I'm going to put tickets in here if they'll fit. I might have to cut some stuff down because she's a little journal. But I'm hoping I can completely fill it since I'm only away for a little bit over 2 weeks. I think 112 pages of pretty small paper is going to be just right. And the fact that this journal is so small is going to make journaling in hotel rooms and on trains and planes so much easier than using a bigger journal. All these extra pages are going to be filled with memories soon, and I can't wait. If you can't wait to see a completed travel journal either, then I'll pop a link on the screen here to the flip through of my last travel journal, which also includes a lot of my tips for how to actually stay on top of a travel journal while you're on holidays. And underneath that is a link to a video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy.